Hey book nerds, so today what I'm going to be talking about are the books that I read in March and April. I decided to combine them because I didn't really read a lot of books for either months, and you'll kind of find out why as I start talking about the books. But anyway, I just want to share these books with you and find out what you read in those months as well. Hey book nerds, welcome to my channel, dbooknerd. My name is Denise, and if you are new to this channel, welcome. You're only a stranger once. Please make sure that you subscribe and hit notifications so that you know when I have videos that are uploaded. And if you are already subscribed, thank you for subscribing, share, and thank you for all of the input that you have put into this channel and things that you've shared with me so far. So as you know, this is going to be my March and April wrap up, and I just wanted to kind of share the few books. I read about 5 books in the 2 months, and just share with you what books I read and what I thought about them. And I already stated this even when I first started this channel. I'm not the fastest reader, so those people that aren't the fastest readers, shout out and hey, this is your channel. We are each other's tribe, because I just don't. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It also depends on the types of books that I read. So, but yeah, so I didn't have that many. I said, why make a wrap up for only 2 books for one of the months? Let's just combine the 2. So the first book that I read in March was The First Ladies. And this book is by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. I really hyped this book up and I was really excited about reading it. And it was great. The book is great. It's a lot of good information. If you are a historical fiction fan, this is historical fiction. This is a great book for you. And again, it had a lot of good information. It was very inspiring, very well written. I will tell you though, this did kind of put me into the slump. Again, it's not so much that it was well written and everything. I think that it's just it's well written, but just maybe not the writing for me, if that makes sense. So it chronicles Eleanor Roosevelt and Mary McLeod Bethune. I cannot ever say that right. It's like a tongue twister to me. But anyway, it's about them and their friendship. And so that in itself is interesting because if you didn't know that they were friends, that is just an interesting fact to know. But not only were they friends, but they were very much into making change, and they worked together, and they broke the mold of what women even did back then and their influence on powerful men. And of course, Eleanor Roosevelt, being her husband, was someone she influenced, and just kind of those different barriers and things that they broke and went through was just awesome. They did a lot of great things to make a lot of change that has affected us even to this day in the United States. We see that how they battled, sexism, but also racism with Mary McLeod Bethune. And how even Eleanor Roosevelt kind of saw some things in her that maybe she's a little, not racist, but still has some of the ideas of racism, I guess you would say, without even knowing it. Because when you don't grow up in a situation, it's hard for you to see, what the other may be going through. So she was open to learning from Mary McLeod Bethune, and it just made an awesome partnership. What kind of threw me, I think, it was just like a series of events. And it kind of seemed like it was a repeat. It might have been a slightly different event, but it was kind of a repeat of the same way it happened, if that makes sense. So it just, it just read like a timeline sometimes, and kind of a story, but not so much a story. Yeah, so that it was just made it kind of hard for me to get through. And plus I'm trying to process and I'm trying to feel and I'm thinking about, oh my goodness, what must this have been like? And so then that kind of really slows me down in my reading. So yeah, great book. If you like historical fiction, you would probably just love it. I liked it. I'm glad I read it. I feel like it's important. I think that, I would think everybody should read this book so they find out more about our history in the country. Yeah, this one slowed me down a bit, but good book. And I'm just not the hugest historical fiction fan. I'll read it if I really am just interested in it, or it's getting a lot of hype and I'm like, okay, I got to check this out. But I'm not the biggest historical fiction fan, so that could play a part too. The next book that kind of got cleansed my palate a bit and got me moving was The Housemade Secret by Frida McFadden. Great book. I mean, I don't even need to say much more. This was awesome. I actually liked this one better than The Housemaid, and The Housemaid was awesome. I was reading it and I'm like, nah, this one's not going to be better than The Housemaid, because at first there were some things that irritated me. And then as I kept reading, I'm like, you know what? I like this one even better. There were some twists and turns in this one that were just ridiculous. The way Frida McFadden set this up was just awesome. Again, you have Millie, and she's a maid, and she's working at another, rich like person's couple's home, and there's secrets in there. The wife is always upstairs in the room, and then there's the husband. He's the one that kind of hires her, and he's the one that is telling her what to buy and all of this stuff, this certain type of foods and all of this stuff. And then and just kind of erratic behavior. So she's thinking the husband is abusive to the wife, and it kind of goes from there. So she finds out that maybe what she's seeing is not what it seems. Plus, you also go into Millie's more personal life in this particular book. And so you're seeing some things happening with her. She feels like she's being followed. She's wondering, who's following her, what's happening. And again, the twists are crazy. Everything connects really well. Great book. Again, easy to read. I love the way Frida McFadden writes her books. They're short chapters. They're easy to read. It just starts off good and gets to the point. So, great book. The next book that I read was Honey and Spice. And this book is by Bolu Babalola. And I believe, let's see, this author is... she's a London-based writer and lover of love. And this book was good. I've been wanting to read this book for a long time. I love the cover, and that was one thing that really attracted me to the book. I love the title, everything. The Honey and Spice really plays well. The title plays well into the book. And if you read it or when you read it, you'll see that. And I loved it because you're dealing with students that are African Caribbean, and they're in, I believe, London or somewhere in England or something like that. And they're at this school. So I believe it's college. So I didn't know if this was young adult, new adult, just a regular adult book. It reads very much like an adult book. But let me just get back to it. So you have the character, let's see, Kiki. And Kiki does a podcast or something like that. And she's really, she likes to uplift women, other women, and empower them and help them not to get played by the players at the school. And so she's telling them specifically not to get involved with this one guy. And now I forgot the name, so let me look at it. Malachi. I can't believe I forgot that. So Malachi, she tells them specifically not to get with Malachi. He's like this new guy at the school. But then she ends up, everybody sees her kissing him at a party. Okay. So then it's like she looks like a hypocrite. And then we kind of go down that road. So they end up doing that for a reason. And it's kind of like, I guess, it's a fake dating book. So it's a fake dating to lovers book. You have your very independent Kiki. You have Malachi, kind of mysterious. She's trying to figure him out. They get to know each other as they're working on a project together and fake dating, and things go from there. This book is very much, modern. If you are a young person, you are going to love this book because it references all the stuff that is so young. They're constantly Beyonce this, Beyonce that, Drake this, Drake that. they use all the words, that people use, now that are younger. A lot of the slang, very fashionable. They describe their dress as very fashionable, so you love that. They're very smart. I love that in the book. I really love that they celebrate the African culture. So although these students are in England, they are very much into and embrace their culture. At least most of them do. And if you read the book or have read it, you'll know. But so they describe their clothing and they embrace it, and all of that. So I love that. Even the way they describe smells, it's like, you smell the cocoa butter and they really embrace the culture. So I really love that about the book. I actually love the relationship between Kiki and Malachi, especially as it developed. And you'll see why maybe it was a little bit hard for them to get together and all of that. So a great love story. I really like Malachi. Malachi is like, you want him to be real life, and for me, he needs to be a little bit older. And then, you would want to date him. He is awesome, just somebody with a great heart, and not really trying to play with people. Just very romantic, very thoughtful, unique in his approach in dating and things like that. So very, and caring and all of that. And Kiki, of course, is kind of the cynical one and the, smart mouth kind of, whatever. And you find out why Kiki is like that also. This book, again, I said is very, what word do I want to use? It's really cool, hip, I don't know, whatever you want to say. With that, they talk very much like some people talk. So it's vulgar. I said that there was a lot in Kennedy Ryan, a lot of F-bombs and stuff. This surpasses that. Kennedy Ryan is PG. This is a lot of vulgar talk, very vulgar. A little bit of spice. So there, the honey and spice. There's a little bit of spice. Not just one scene, but there's more vulgar talk than just that, then there's just one actual scene. And so some of that, and just even the kind of the ideologies were just a little bit off-putting for me. But I would highly recommend this book for a younger person. Highly recommend it. It is good. I enjoyed the book. But yeah, I don't know that I read another book by the author, but the book is good. It's just maybe YA, if this is YA, I don't know. I still don't know what it is. Isn't for me, but the book again is good. So it's kind of hard to describe. I'm having a hard time. So you see why maybe it took me so long to get through all these books, because I'm having all these complicated feelings. But yeah, Honey and Spice, I don't regret reading it. Again, the love story is beautiful. I love the celebration of African culture, all of that. So that's for that. The next book that I have is, ta-da, The Other Black Girl. I finally read it. And yes, I want people to celebrate with me. Y'all know I've had this on the TBR for so long, and I kept pushing it back and not reading it, but I finally got through The Other Black Girl. Again, this one is complicated. So, The Other Black Girl, this book is about, so you have Nella, and Nella works at a publishing company called Wagner Books, and then she's the only black person that works at this company. And they've kind of been working on diversity. Well, I'll put it in quotes, working on diversity for a long time. She was part of like a diversity initiative program and all of that. And then that kind of got washed away. They were kind of like, people weren't showing up for it and all of that. But then there is a new person that comes to work there. Her name is Hazel, and she is black. So Nella's happy that there's going to be another black person in the office, and she is going to be an ally. She's going to understand how things go. Maybe they can make some change together and all of that. So yeah, we have that in the book. But things start acting or turning weird. So Hazel comes in, seems like the person that's going to be down with Nella. They're going to make these changes, but Hazel switches. And then Nella starts getting these cryptic notes telling her to leave, and she needs to leave and all of this. And so she's not sure if Hazel's telling her this or are they coming from somewhere else. She's not sure if she should trust Hazel because Hazel's still trying to really very much get her to act like she wants her to like her and they're together in this. But yet Hazel's actions say something very different. There is twists and turns in this book. That is the good thing. It's weird, I guess you would say, or very different, very unique in what happens. I will tell you this book is definitely shows how people, black women, or have to, or not have to, but sometimes feel like they have to code switch in the workplace. So it's very much a book that's talking about diversity, code switching, racism, so all those undertones with a mystery thriller feel, if you will. So it's like I don't even know what to call this book. I've looked it up once and it was deemed as a contemporary fiction, but I've also looked it up and it said mystery thriller. It's kind of both, I would even say maybe even a little sci-fi. So you have to read this book to truly understand it. It was very creative. I still don't know, like I saw like in one of my reading groups on Facebook, people would be like, what did I just read? And I get it. I don't know what to think. I think it was kind of cool though, but it was just very different. And sometimes what other black people might do to be able to sustain themselves in a society that is filled with racism when you're trying to be in the corporate world, it kind of deals with that. So I would tell people to read it because it's interesting, but I'm not sure how you'll feel about it after you read it. So yeah, this is The Other Black Girl, and the author is Zakiya Delilah Harris. Again, this is another book I don't regret reading, but it was, I don't know what to say. It was interesting. It was entertaining. It was unique. So that's The Other Black Girl. I'm not ambivalent towards it like I saw some people. Some people just hated it and were mad that they read it, or but that's not the case for myself. It just was different, I guess you would say. So finally, I read The Coworker, and this is again by Frida McFadden. Another great book by Frida McFadden. I enjoyed this book. I will say there's this debate. Like you'll see people, it seems like there's kind of this line where people are like, I like The Coworker was the best Frida McFadden book so far. Then you have people that say the Housemade books are the best Frida McFadden books so far. And then they didn't like The Coworker as much, or vice versa. If I were to have to choose, which, I don't really have to, so far I've liked every, the 3 books I've read by her, I like them and I'm going to keep reading her books. I would say I'm the Housemaid camp. My sister Tony is The Coworker camp. This is the book that got my sister to reading. So I love the book just for that. I can see why. It's good. It's unique. The characters are awesome in this book. I really enjoyed the characters. I like the office setting. So what you have is Dawn. Dawn works at this company. I think they're like a supplement company. And you kind of see more about the supplement company in the book. So she works at this company. She's considered to be strange by her coworkers. She has some tendencies and some habits that are different. Dawn is very meticulous. She comes to work on time every day, like 15 minutes early every day. So when Dawn doesn't come to work one day, her coworker Natalie is concerned. And Natalie is like this, they describe her as somebody beautiful and kind of popular within the company. I think she's one of the salespeople in the company, one of the top salespeople. And she's kind of concerned. So you have Natalie that comes off as this very concerned coworker that's looking for Dawn. Natalie is also dating, I think his name is Caleb, at the company. But she kind of had a situation with somebody else in the company, and you just don't really know where anybody really stands. So while Natalie is looking for Dawn and concerned about Dawn, you're not sure if Natalie is really down for Dawn because you're getting different point of views. And it's unique in the way that Freedom McFadden writes this, because a lot of what we hear about Dawn comes from her emails to a friend that lives out of state, and like one of her only friends. The twist is crazy. I'm talking about it now. I'm almost about to change and say this is one of my favorites. The twist is so crazy in this book. So yeah, so she's looking, and then Natalie gets this cryptic call that says "help me." So she thinks that's Dawn, and it just goes from there. You know, some people say they can figure things out. You're not going to know what's happening. I kept thinking, oh, it's this, it's him, it's her, it's that. You know, you don't know, and it's so hard to talk about it when you can't give anything away. Read The Coworker. If you like thrillers, and this is more psychological thrillers, read it. It's good. So I really love this. So this was my last book for the month of, what was that? April. Yeah. So this was the final book that I read, and again, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so those are the books. I read, a total of 5 books, and you can see that I've had some interesting reading. The Freedom McFadden books I loved. The rest I liked. Some I liked more than others. Some it was like I liked it a lot, but there's just some things I didn't like about it. Yeah, and some was just like I don't even quite know what happened here. That's the other black girl. So, but that's the beauty of reading. You read all of these diverse books that give you diverse perspectives. You see diverse types of writing styles. You learn what works for you. You stretch your mind and your, reading habits. And yeah, that's the beauty of reading. So yeah, you all let me know what you read in March and April, and what you liked, what you didn't. If you read any of these books, please share with me how you like them. I particularly would like to know what you thought about The Other Black Girl, and if anybody read Honey and Spice, what you thought about that. I've seen really great reviews about Honey and Spice, and I can understand that. It is overall a great book. So yeah, that's it, and I just hope you all are well. Please be blessed and be book nerdy.